Two GOP presidential candidates did something this week you haven't heard Republicans do very much lately. They actually talked about Obamacare. Yesterday, Marco Rubio put out an op-ed entitled "My Plan to Fix Obamacare," which was noticeably light on actual detail. And today, Scott Walker unveiled his plan to repeal and replace the health care law, which would involve restructuring Medicaid and tying tax credits to age rather than income.
We've got a plan. It's simple to begin with. It's as simple as this. It starts out with the premise that on my very first day as President of the United States, I will send legislation to the Congress to once and for all repeal Obamacare entirely.
In reality, and this probably won't surprise you, Walker is offering something quite less than an actual Obamacare alternative. As the AP points out, his plan does not include cost figures or an estimate of the number of people who would be covered, making it nearly impossible to compare with the current law. But Walker's priority likely isn't to actually try to replace Obamacare, which would involve a massive upheaval for millions of Americans and effectively be an act of political suicide. What the Wisconsin governor really seems to be doing is trying to use the issue to shame his presidential rivals who serve in the Senate and who have yet to find a way to magically overcome the filibuster and the math of a veto to repeal the law.
We were told by Republican leaders during the campaigns last year that we just needed a Republican Senate to be elected to repeal Obamacare. Well, here we sit. You know, both chambers of the United States Congress have been controlled since January by Republicans, and yet there's not a bill on the president's desk to repeal Obamacare.
Today's antics notwithstanding, there's no denying there's been a giant Obamacare-shaped hole in the GOP presidential race. The party that voted more than 50 times to delay or repeal Obamacare, that warned incessantly the law would bring utter disaster, and even shut down the government trying to stop it, that party suddenly seems to have almost entirely stopped talking about the law. Consider this. In the first major Republican presidential debate 4 years ago in June 2011, the candidates uttered the word Obamacare 23 times. In the first GOP debate this cycle, they mentioned Obamacare just 6 times. The relative silence could have something to do with the fact that the rate of people without insurance dropped 6 percentage points to just 11.4% since key Obamacare provisions began in 2013, with about 16 million people gaining coverage. Or maybe Republicans are just too embarrassed about all of their terrible predictions about what the law would do.
I think what's going to come out of Obamacare is worse than anybody can imagine. I think it's a disaster.
I think this law is going to collapse under its own weight.
I think Obamacare is designed to fail. It will fail.
Obamacare is going to destroy everything that we know as a nation. It's going to push us into a total economic collapse.
It will ruin the best health care system in the world. It'll bankrupt our nation, and it will ruin our economy.
All right, joining me now, Dr. Zeke Emanuel, Senior Fellow at the Center for American Progress, one of the key architects of the Affordable Care Act. And Zeke, since we're not hearing much about Obamacare, somewhat amazingly on the campaign trail, if I were to check in and say, you know, Zeke, you worked on this thing, where do we kind of end up on this? Where are we at? What's the report card right now at this point in 2015 on Obamacare? What's your answer?
Well, you might say I'm biased, but every independent analysis says no matter what your metric, it's been a success for the last 5 years. If it's the coverage rate, how many people are getting coverage? As you mentioned, we have more than about 13 million people getting coverage through the exchanges, about 10 million of them new. The uninsured rate has gone from 18% to 11.4%. If it's costs, over the last 5 years, on a per-person basis, costs have been at historic moderation. Over the last 5 years, we'd have 1 quarter where healthcare inflation's been over, on a per-person basis, over 4%. So historic low healthcare cost inflation. And then we heard over and over that it would be a job killer, undermine the entire economy. And we've had steady progress in the expansion of jobs and no evidence that the ACA caused a blip in the hiring of workers. So whether it's cost, access, or its effect on the economy, the ACA has actually been quite good overall. And that's one of the reasons I think the Republicans have gone silent. The other, of course, is they don't have an alternative, and the stuff you hear from Walker and Rubio
refundable tax
now,
credits.
What?
Refundable tax credits. Refundable health care tax credits.
Let me just take a second to explain that.
That is, just to be clear, this is the thing that has been at the sort of center. To the extent there's an alternative, refundable health care tax credits has been one of the pillars of that. That is part of Walker's plan.
Right. It's part of all of their plans. It goes back to John McCain. And basically, it's now people who get coverage through their employer get a tax exclusion. Their health insurance is not taxed. They say, let's get rid of that. Let's tax it. Employers would drop insurance like a hot potato then, and they then say, we'll use the money that we would collect in taxes, and we'll give people a tax credit, and they can go out and buy insurance. And Walker, to his credit, put a number on that and basically said a family of 4, 2 adults, 2 children, you get $6,000. Well, let me just tell you, the average employer health insurance now costs $16,000, right. And that means he's going to shove $10,000 of costs on the average family, which would be 20% of the average family's income. He wants people to pay 20% of their pre-tax income for health insurance now. That's the bottom line on the Walker proposal, and that's why these proposals don't fly. The moment the public hears about how much they're going to have to pay, they go wild and they reject it. Right. So I think these are short-lived. They come up again and again. We had the Burr-Coburn-Hatch. That was the most successful Senate plan, and it went nowhere. After 24 hours, it was dead because of the same math.
Yeah. Zeke Emanuel, thank you for giving us a little check-in on that whole Obamacare thing. Appreciate it.
Thank you.